Hello, happy Thursday. Welcome to Exercise with Exos. Coach Jazzi here, and I have another pumpkin workout for us. So I know we did one yesterday, but I have another one. Different movements. We are gonna do 45-15 for this one. I know we did 50-10 yesterday, so we're gonna do 45-15. In terms of equipment, sorry, my hair is like stuck in my earrings. In terms of equipment, we need a mini band. So just one mini band. If you don't have one, you can still do everything without it. It's not like necessary, but I do want to add this in there because I know y'all liked it last time I did. So yeah, so we need a band or nothing. And so I'm going to go ahead real quick with demos. I'm going to make it as fast as possible because pumpkin, again, it has 7 movements instead of 6. So going to go ahead real quick. Nothing is new today, so it should be a quick run through. So starting off, we're going to do lots of planks again today. So starting off, we're going to do a plank rotation. So this can either be hands and knees, hands and toes, or elbows and knees or toes. So I'm just gonna do all my hands and toes today, but again, you can do whatever works for you. But we're gonna go ahead, open up towards the ceiling, and then come back, and then the other way towards the ceiling and back. So it's gonna be our plank rotations. And then we're going to go ahead and do a V up after that. So V ups, you can do one of 3 ways, really. So first one is coming all the way out, exhaling, touching both your toes. You can do one at a time, which is going to be what I'm doing because it is a little bit easier on my hips. Or you can do this sort of V up. So again, whatever works for you. And then for the M, we're going to do a banded march. So this is where that mini band will come in handy. Again, if you don't have a mini band, oh, my head's cut off. If you don't have a mini band, that is okay. You can still do this without it. But having the band around our toes, exhaling, bringing our knee up, and then to the other side, coming on up. So that's going to be the M. And then back to our P, we're going to do plank arm raises. So either hands and knees or hands and toes. Making sure if we're on our toes, you can have that nice wide base. Exhaling, keeping our hips pointed down, raising one arm at a time. And then I think I'm going to need to grab a mat actually for today. So after that, for the K, we're going to do a kneel to squat, but we're going to do like a full squat and then go back down. So we're going to have our foot starting in our tall kneeling, one foot into the bottom. We're going to do a full squat and then back down. So that's the K. And then for the I, we're going to bring back our mini band. We're going to do bent over eyes. I overcorrected my camera there. We're going to do bent over eyes with the band. So taking your mini band, if you don't have one, just do regular bent over eyes. We're going to bring our wrists into the band, holding steady here. So that's going to give us a little bit of tension. We're then going to come up over our head, again, pressing our wrists outside of the mini band. So again, if you don't have one, go ahead and just do a regular eye, but this will help just with a little extra tension there. And then finally for the end, I could not for the life of me think of anything other than narrow squats because I did want to do a lower body movement here. So we're going to call these in and out squats. And you can also do a squat jump if you want to kind of elevate that a little bit more. I'm not going to be jumping today, but basically we're going to start with the narrow squat into a sumo squat. So doing a narrow and a wide, alternating between the two. If you are going to be doing more of the jump squat, that's going to look more like coming down into that squat and then in and out. So that's going to be our circuit for today. I feel like it is so hot in here right now. Let's go ahead and warm up real quick. We're going to go ahead and do the world's greatest stretch. So we're going to go ahead and interlace our fingers, grab onto our knee, pulling towards our chest. And we're going to go ahead and exhale, step back, reverse lunge. Hands coming down on the inside of our front foot. Back leg staying nice and straight. Nice big deep inhale. And Exhaling, opening up towards our front leg, gazing past our hand, thumb is facing behind us. Keeping our legs straight here, opening up those hips. And exhaling, planting outside of our front foot. Bring our back foot a little bit closer and push our hips up into our hamstring stretch. And we're going to go ahead and exhale, bring our feet together, push the ground away, and stand on up. All right, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. Interlace our fingers, grab onto our other knee, pulling towards our chest. And exhaling, stepping back, reverse lunge. Keeping our back leg nice and straight, hands coming down on the inside of our front foot. Opening up our hips here, nice big deep inhale. And exhaling, opening up towards the ceiling, looking past our hand, thumb is facing behind us. And exhaling, planting outside of our front foot. Bringing our back foot a little bit closer and pushing our hips up into our hamstring stretch. And let's go ahead, exhale, bring our feet together, push the ground away, and stand on up. All right. Next up, we do have some plank things today, so let's go ahead and do a couple plank to pikes here. So making our way onto our hands and our toes. And when we're ready, go ahead and push our hips up into our pike or down dog. We're gonna go ahead, pedal our heels. Do at least one breath on each side, opening up our calves. Got some squats coming up today. Go ahead, push both our heels into the ground, poke our head in between our arms. And back to plank. We're gonna do 3 quick ones here coming up. And down. 2 more coming up. And down. And last one coming up. And then go ahead and make your way back to your plank because we're starting off with plank rotations. I'm gonna go ahead and grab on that real quick. And we are doing 3 rounds here. We're doing 45-15 today. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the timer started here. And 3, 2, 1, and go. So plank rotations first. So either hands and knees, hands and toes, or you can do your elbows as well. Whatever feels good for you today. But regardless of how we're doing it, we want to make sure our upper back is nice and flat. So screwing our hands into the ground if we're on our hands. It's helpful to have that nice wide base with your feet. So if you bring your feet kind of a little bit wider than hip width, that can really help with keeping our core a little bit more engaged and help with the anti-rocking part of it. If you're on your knees, you just stay still, using your core to open up. 3, 2, 1. All right. Next up, we have V-ups. So we're going to be on our backs on the ground. And like I said, you can do it one of 3 ways. So you can do it this way. 3, 2, 1. So you can do it that way. You can do both legs or one leg at a time. So I'm going to do one leg at a time because it allows me to really focus on my core when I do one leg at a time. You might not feel it like that, so do whatever feels good for you. But I personally find when I do both my legs at the same time, I start to use my hips instead of my core. But it's all a preference. Great job. Oh, whoops. 3, 2, 1. All right. Standing on up, we have our banded march. So again, if you have a mini band, go ahead, place that around your toes. If you don't have a mini band, go ahead and just do a slow march instead. 3, 2, 1. So if we have that mini band around our toes, bringing one leg up at a time, really helping us focus on our hip flexor strength, because we all know at this point, hopefully, because I say it a lot, Sometimes that tightness is a weakness. So we also want to make sure that not only are we stretching our hips and strengthening our glutes and hamstrings to help with our hip flexors, we do also want to strengthen them as well. Using our core here, breathing through our straw, pulling on up. 3, 2, 1. All right. Next up, we have plank arm raises. So either hands and knees or hands and toes. Again, if you're on your toes, create that nice wide base to help keep your hips pointed down. 3, 2, 1. So if we're on our knees, making sure our hips are forward, regardless of each one, whichever one we're doing, we want to make sure our butt is pulled into our belly button. So our back is nice and flat. Our core is engaged. And y'all know I'm working on this personally, but I want to make sure that our spine is in line with our core. When we look straight down, it does bring our spine out of alignment, not our core. So keeping our nice curve throughout our neck, making sure we aren't fully tucking our chin here. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. All right. Next up, we have a kneel to squat. So we're starting off in our tall kneeling position. Remembering too, at this point, we are doing a full squat. 3, 2, 1. I may be regretting doing the full squat after this one today, but we're doing one foot, the other foot. We're coming all the way up. And again, right? That's a full one. I don't know. That might be too many. We want to at least stand all the way up one time. So we really get that extra engagement through our glutes. Yeah, we only want to stand up once. I don't know why I thought we had to do 2. I don't know. Bear with me. I'm trying to be better about my caffeine intake, so I have decreased it. So my brain is not fully there right now. So we are switching our feet every time. 3, 2, 1. All right. Next up for our eye, we are doing bent over eyes, bringing back our mini band. So if you don't have a mini band, don't worry. Placing it around our wrists. 3, 2, 1. So it's around our wrists. We're pushing our hands out. We should immediately feel our shoulders activate as we push against the band. So just like if we were using the mini band for squats or side steps or glute bridges, right? We don't want the pressure of the band to bring our hands together. We want to push against the band to create that resistance. And that's going to help us really just engage our shoulders a little bit more. But again, if you don't have a mini band, go ahead and just do regular eyes. You can even hold a little bit longer at the top, move a little slower. 3, 2, 1. All right, that one's a great one. Great one for shoulder health. All right, last part of round 1, we have in and out squats / squat jumps. So doing whatever feels good. 3, 2, 1. So if we're doing the jump, we're starting with our feet together, coming out and back in, just like that. Or you can be like me, who is not going to be jumping today, and you can do a narrow squat and then bring your feet out into a wide squat. And if your legs feel weird doing one stepping out and back in, you can actually step to each side to alternate, so that way you're at least pushing off of a different leg each time. So just making sure. Oh, why am I doing this? Sorry, y'all. I told you. The decrease in caffeine has made me a little woo. 3, 2, 1. All right. That was round 1. So we're going to do that 2 more times, starting with our plank rotation for our first P. 3, 2, 1. Exhaling, opening up. Great job. Really keeping our core zipped up. Again, if you need to, go ahead and create that nice wide base with your feet. Making sure too, our upper back nice and flat. We are keeping our spine in alignment. Exhaling as we rotate up. 3, 2, 1. All right. Flipping over for the U, doing our V-ups. Again, doing them however feels good for you. 3, 2, 1. Exhaling. Again, bringing our core down and together. And if this one, again, if 2 legs feels better, or you want to do the other one where your hands are behind you and you're bringing your knees out and in. I know we all have preferences, and we all have like different, like I know for me, if I'm doing the 2, right, I feel in my hips because my hips are tight, but maybe your hips aren't tight and that feels better. So playing to your strengths right now. 3, 2, 1. It's popping a lot today. All right, standing on up. We have banded marches next. We're getting ready. Again, if no mini band, just go ahead and move nice and slow. 3, 2, 1. All right. So core is engaged, butt to belly button. Goodness, it is so warm in here today. I know. It was warm in here on Tuesday, but yesterday was not. I'm like sweating. Barely moving. Making sure we want to get our knee up as high as we can. So even with the mini band, we want to choose a tension that's obviously challenging. We want to feel it in our hips and our core, but we want it to be like light enough on the band that we can get our knee up. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. All right. Next up, plank arm raises. Hands and knees or hands and toes. 3, 2, 1. Exhaling. Again, keeping that nice wide base if we need to. We want to make sure that our hips are not moving back and forth. You want to engage your glutes a little bit in that way as well. Putting all of our pressure into our hand. We're getting work really in both shoulders, right? We're doing one arm shoulder stability and the other arm working on our overhead reach. So we're kind of getting a little bit of both plus core work out of this one. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. All right. Next up, we have kneel to full squat. So starting off in our tall kneeling position. 3, 2, 1. So we're stepping and all the way up. It's going to help us really work on our single leg strength. Kind of just like walking up the stairs, you know, where you push off. Same thing. If you notice too, where's our knee or a second toe? Where's our chest or the foot we're pressing through? What does that look like? It looks like a lunge, right? That's what I say all the time. Our lower body pushing is the same no matter what we are doing, and it is so true. Same with this one. This is where we're going to notice too, like I know for me, my right side with my overuse injuries is a little bit weaker. As I press, I know my knee comes in. 3, 2, 1. So that's where I know I need to focus on keeping, I need to do a little bit slower on my right side, as always. All right. Bent over eyes, band or no band. 3, 2, 1. So pushing out against our mini band here. Straight overhead. Sinking into our hips. I know I'm not doing the form that well today because my legs are toast. Keeping our core engaged, pressing against the mini band here. Similar to the banded march, we want to choose a tension that's challenging, but not so much that we can't push against it. 3, 2, 1. All right, last up, in and out squats / squat jumps. Doing whatever feels good for you today. Basically doing narrow and wide. 3, 2, 1. We are either jumping or we're squatting. Doing whatever feels good for you today. But as we move forward through spooky season, through Thanksgiving, through the holidays, let me know if you have themes, things, goals, etc. that you want to work on. Try and get as creative as I can. Sometimes I need help. So let me know. 3, 2, 1. All right. 2 down, 1 to go. Last round coming on up. Starting off with our plank rotations. 3, 2, 1. All right. I wanted to do these ones today so we can work on our rotation through our core. In this one, we are going to get a little bit more single arm stability because we're really holding like our body at a different angle versus with the plank arm raises where we're more like this. It's just a little bit different, but definitely focusing a lot on that today. So y'all know I love to focus on shoulder health, making sure we're protecting ourselves from injuries for the future. 3, 2, 1. All right, we are done with those for today. Up next, we have our V-ups. 3, 2, 1. All right. Outstretched. Choosing the one that works best for us today. Really focusing on the core. I also want to make sure that as we lower our leg back down, we're not just letting it fall, right? We want to control our leg up and down, and that's where we get that good core engagement. Sometimes doing that slower eccentric actually does make it more challenging. So if you're finding it to be a little not challenging enough for you today, go ahead, just slow it down. You'll see that extra difference there. 3, 2, 1. All right. Done with those. We have banded marches next. Getting ready. Band around our toes. 3, 2, 1. All right. Using our core here. Going nice and slow if we don't have that mini band. If there's other things y'all have at home that if we all have it, if that you'd like me to incorporate, definitely just let me know. You know, the bands were previously requested, but I know it's a little bit more accessible to use bands versus any weights. So that's why I'm going to try and do more bands if we can. 3, 2, 1. All right, we are done with those. Put it on the ground. And we have plank arm raises next. 3, 2, 1. All right. Getting ready. We know how to do these ones, but really too making sure it's really easy on these ones to plant your hand in the middle to make it a little bit easier on your core and stability and stuff. We do want to try and make sure our hands are below our shoulders the whole time, if we can. Just like with glute bridge marches, right, where I make sure that our feet are staying hip width apart to make sure that we're really working on our stability. So same thing. Same concept. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. All right, we got our last 3 movements here. First stop, kneel to full squat, and then our eyes, and then our squats. 3, 2, 1. So starting in our tall kneeling position, planting our foot, making sure we're pushing through both feet, heel, big toe, little toe. We also want to be mindful, right, of where our feet are as we stand up. So making sure we're stepping into our the bottom of our squat at a good distance for our feet, like making them as close to hip width as we can. I know when you're just placing your feet, it's a little bit different versus setting up for a squat. Great job. Making sure we're alternating our feet here as well. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. All right. Last 2 movements, bent over eyes, with or without mini band, making sure it's around our wrists here. 3, 2, 1. Right. Keeping the resistance against the band. If you're feeling that in your low back as you bend over, sink a little bit lower into those hips. Great job. Like I said, I'm such a big proponent of shoulder health, and this is actually definitely varies. That's like not very good English there. It's very good for that. 3, 2, 1. I told y'all my brain is not working today. All right. Last up here, in and out squats or squat jumps. 3, 2, 1. So we're either jumping or we are just squatting. Wow, that weight shift was really bad. We're finishing strong. And then after this, we're going to go ahead and do some child's pose to close out so we can work on our hips, do a little bit of deep breathing. And that will be our cool down for today. As much as I want to do some more figure 4, because I know my glutes are super sore today. But we're going to do some child's pose. So after this, getting onto the ground. 3, 2, 1. And that is going to be it for today's circuit. So go ahead and grab a squatter if you need it. We're going to go ahead and make our way to the ground real quick. Oh, we don't have too much time. So we're just going to do a couple deep breaths for some child's pose. Sorry, I think the warm up took me a little longer. I'm moving a little slow today. So if you need to jump off, feel free to jump off. But we're going to go ahead from child's, our hands and our knees a little bit wider than hip width. Walking our hands forward, forehead, chin, or cheek to the ground. We're going to do 3 big deep breaths here. And 1 more breath here. And as we finish our exhale, when we're ready, go ahead and gently bring more weight onto your hands, returning to your hands and your knees. and feel free to stay on the grind if you'd like. That's going to be all the time for today. So thank y'all so much for coming. I hope you feel a little bit more, I don't want to say more energized, a little bit more energized from moving your body a little bit. So don't forget to hydrate, get a good meal in, and I'll see y'all next week.